Let's go over what is, in my opinion, the absolute biggest bull case for Bitcoin and all of crypto right now, because I see a lot of theories as to why crypto keeps shrinking, and I'm gonna give you a very clear explanation as to why I think this is only the start, only the start. So first of all, this is how the monthly chart now looks for Bitcoin. Absolutely insane. And this candle happened what felt like all at once. And with Bitcoin exploding up double-digit percentages on the day, it hit 36.5K before leveling off and coming down. You can see here that Bitcoin, had this big spike up. This actually doesn't count the spike, it doesn't show it. It actually spiked way higher up to about here. And then it started to come down, actually made new high, or it didn't make a new high, but it went up and hit 35. And now it's been kind of trending down. That is to be expected, right? When you have such a big wick, which was caused by a bunch of people shorting. They were saying, hey, when it hit 32, they were like, we've seen this movie before. You hit 32, you get rejected. Well, not this time. We cut through it, and a bunch of people put their stop losses on those shorts right above there. And so it liquidated all these stops, and it shot directly up to 36.5. You can see that on the chart pretty clearly. Here you can see on this chart posted by Rand, this red line is the decrease in open interest, and that matches this spike perfectly. So you can see how much the open interest, essentially the gambling going on, got wiped out by this spike up. That's the shorts being liquidated. And just to be clear, when I woke up this morning, this was circulating online. The DTCC, which they listed the BlackRock ETF ticker as a preparatory mechanism yesterday, and everyone went, oh, it's gonna be approved. We all have proof it's gonna be approved. And it was proof that BlackRock was seeding with cash its ETF. Well, guess what? Apparently it got pulled down this morning, but then it got put back up. And eventually I just wanted to put this out here, whether the ETF ticker is listed, delisted, whatever, it's all part of a process. It's happening. So we know the ETF is happening, right? That's happening. But people are saying, okay, well, after this ETF FOMO moment passes, then is this going to be a sell the news event? Like, what's going to happen here now that the ETF is come and gone? And this is where I want to introduce you to the biggest narrative that we're not considering, right? That we're not considering right now, which is this one right here. MicroStrategy is, if you look at this, going to be one of the best performing public companies here over the last 5 years. We can see when they adopted Bitcoin here in late 2020, about mid to late 2020 here, they were trading about 175. Now they're at about 340. They peaked up at like 940 or whatever. Anyway, the point is that MicroStrategy, if you look at yesterday or the last 5 days, has been on an absolute tear from 329 up to 430, and that is proportional with Bitcoin. And that's because of their Bitcoin strategy, where they are literally investing billions of dollars into Bitcoin. They're a proxy to Bitcoin. So what you'll see here is that this company, which has nothing to do with Bitcoin, has become a proxy to Bitcoin and will trade with Bitcoin. And we're coming into an era where stocks in this stagflation era, stocks are potentially looking at what they call a lost decade. This is what the 1970s was for the stock market. It was a lost decade where stocks didn't find new highs for a decade because of inflation, because of all these things. However, gold went on a 30x tear. So if this is a 1970s redux, which is the closest period in history that we can look to, then it should stand to reason that gold and Bitcoin will outperform during this period of instability. Meanwhile, American stocks might struggle. And you better believe that every single company on the stock market, as their prices continue to decline, will look over and say, oh, look at MicroStrategy. Look at old Michael over there, just killing it. All he had to do is click, allocate some money to Bitcoin. And guess what? That process with the ETF got about 1,000 times easier, because no longer do you have to go set up something at Coinbase, establish custodians, do all this research. No, you one click, your publicly traded portfolio on the stock exchange, boom, you're into Bitcoin. And that, my friends, is going to change everything. That's going to change everything. The amount of money that is going to come into this space because of this Bitcoin ETF, which will become a self-fulfilling prophecy with the price going up. This is really insane. Look at this. So let's go back to this monthly chart where we see the next significant area is the 37K range. And then above that, you have about $50,000. You can see how quickly Bitcoin, when it breaks through key areas, wants to teleport upwards. So the narrative now is not just going to be, hey, grandma can get it, but it's pension funds. Now I know what you're going to say, no, pension funds and insurance funds and all those different things, those retirement funds, they don't want Bitcoins too volatile. Well, get this. You know what they do like is long-term US treasuries, long-term US government debt. That's what old grandma used to buy at a coupon clip. Well, guess what's happened since 2021? You have, without a doubt, the biggest drawdown in the value of those long-dated treasuries. where now the TLT, which values a basket of long-dated US Treasuries, I believe it's the 20-year, is now down more than Bitcoin is down from its peak. You see here the biggest drawdown in history. And you see here Dylan LeClaire tweeting, boomers in disbelief, Treasury bonds down more than Bitcoin. So you see here the number one instrument for wealth preservation that these retirement age people, that these big like sort of passive funds have used to preserve and to increase their output, which is treasuries, which right now seem like a good deal. Well, that's being outperformed by Bitcoin in a big way, And so you've got to understand that all of these desks around the world, the bond buying desks, the actual corporate balance sheet management desks, you've got to look at all of these massive pools of money, trillions and trillions of dollars, and wonder how much of that is going to get kicked over to Bitcoin when it's so easy, it's regulated, it's insurable, it has all of those protections that the TradFi bros love to chat about, that the stock market has, that the crypto market doesn't. Well, that's all coming to Bitcoin. This is a much bigger moment than you realize, and it alone will be the reason why Bitcoin might have one of the craziest Bitcoin seasons we've ever seen. But make no mistake, as soon as Bitcoin season gets boring and slows down, the money trickles down. And when it does, altcoins will have the most absolutely uproarious and insane bull market we've ever seen. Now, I told you when we broke 32K, I was going to start talking more altcoins because a lot of them have not moved yet. So many of them have not moved yet. And yes, there are some early stars in this bull run, and that's great. But remember last run, so many of the big coins, Cardano, Solana, Matic, all these massive heroes of the last bull run didn't move at all until Bitcoin was above its prior high. They were stuck in a range, and that is going to repeat again this time, maybe not exactly waiting for all-time highs, but it's not too late to allocate to these different narratives. And in fact, we should be cautious because of all of the tomfoolery going on in the charts. Just continually allocating with a strategy. That's been my approach. And again, I've done incredibly well this year. I'm sure you guys have noticed. I got flamed when I started buying in January, and I got super flamed when I called a new bull market when the banks started to get bailed out and Bitcoin was at 19.5K, 19 to 20K. That Sunday night when we heard about the bank bailout, I said, look, this is all different. It's all different. And my friends, while that wasn't the ultimate bottom, I don't claim I called the bottom, but I think my timing on this run has been fantastic. Obviously, some people would have made more, but a lot of people probably did way worse than I did. So anyway, assuming that we don't go down and revisit and make new lows, I think we're doing really good for this run. So the next videos you're going to see are going to be specific on niches, specific on strategy, on how I plan to make the absolute most amount of money on this run, but also ways that you can use, frameworks you can use to find your own projects and just do well in general. Because the one thing that I wish I had done was get a little bit more aggressive a little earlier on in the cycle last time, and it would have made it so relaxing just to sit back and watch the green numbers as the cycle progressed. Because once the cycle really gets going, this will pop off 10x, that'll pop off 10x, and you'll be thinking, am I in the wrong bags? Did I make the right buys? And you'll constantly have FOMO to buy local tops or just buy the top on random stuff that is just pumped out of nowhere, instead of methodically getting into good stuff and just waiting for the market to do its thing, which is exactly what is going to happen. Projects that have been building through the bear, you know, I'm a big fan of building in the bear. I'm a big fan of getting ready for the next cycle and moving with momentum. That's exactly what any project founder and any project should be doing. Projects who have gotten their new suit tailored, cut, dusted off, steamed, and pressed, and ready for the new bull run disco that we find ourselves in, well, they're going to be in great shape. Again, the world's in a crazy place, but it does feel like crypto is living up to every single last cypherpunk fantasy that we could have ever dreamed of. A safe haven asset, pumping while other things are dumping, having more value into global instability, and of course, giving us all something to be excited about while other parts of the economy suffer. What's not to love? Get ready for some amazing content. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. So we're going to have a lot more coming for you. As always, I'm EllioTrades. Check out this video popping up, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.